What's up, Dub Nation? Do you want to get cash back on Warriors gear? All you have to do is sign up at Rakuten.com/Warriors, where you can earn 10% cash back in store and online at Warriors Shop. Once you're a member, shop your favorite stores like Fanatics and Ticketmaster and watch the cash back add up in your account. Rakuten is the most rewarding way for you to shop and maximize your savings. Join Rakuten for free today at Rakuten.com/Warriors or download the Rakuten app. That's RAKUTEN.
Before you begin your road trip, ask yourself, do you really need 5 full suitcases? With the 2026 Kia Sportage X-Pro's class-leading cargo space, you'll have room for what you need. Find out more at your local Kia dealer today. Keep the adventure going. Kia, movement that inspires.
Call 800-3334-KIA for details. Always drive safely and obey all traffic laws. Comparisons based on second row legroom and cargo space behind second row seats in the subcompact SUV class according to Kia segmentation as of October 2025.
This next one's for all you CarMax shoppers who just want to buy a car your way.
Wanna check some cars out in person? Wanna look some more from your house? Okay.
Want to pretend you know about engines?
Nah, I'll just chat with CarMax online instead.
Wanna get pre-qualified from your couch? Woo! Wanna get that car?
Hey, SAP!
You wanna do it your way.
Want to drive? CarMax.
All members of Dub Nation know 2 essential truths. 1, the Warriors have the best point guard in the history of the game. And 2, the very best planes in the sky are United. New planes are joining the United fleet every week, decked out with Bluetooth connectivity, screens, and power at every seat, and bigger overhead bins to fit everyone's carry-on, or giant foam fingers. Download the United app and book your next trip today. United Airlines, proud to be the official airline of the Golden State Warriors.
What do you think makes the perfect snack?
It's gotta be when I'm really craving it and it's convenient.
Could you be more specific?
When it's cravenient.
Okay.
Like a freshly baked cookie made with real butter, available right down the street at AM/PM, or a savory breakfast sandwich I can grab in just a second at AM/PM.
I'm seeing a pattern here.
Well, yeah, we're talking about what I crave.
Which is anything from AM/PM.
What more could you want?
Stop by AM/PM where the snacks and drinks are perfectly craveable and convenient. That's Cravenience. AM/PM, too much good stuff.
The lights, the crowd, the moment. When the Warriors take the floor, greatness follows. At Cash Creek Casino Resort, every moment shines. Feel the rush as the reels spin. Breathe in our serene spa. Savor each bite in our award-winning steakhouse. And recharge in the comfort of our luxurious hotel. Cash Creek Casino Resort, proud partner of your Golden State Warriors. Please play responsibly.
Curry, pump fake, flyby, 3-ball, got it with the buzzer sounding!
You've been listening to Golden State Warriors basketball on the Warriors Radio Network. Presented by United Airlines. For tickets, visit Warriors.com or call 888-GSW-HOOP.
Don't you wish you were here?
This Odyssey Sports broadcast has been brought to you by Geico. Switch and save. Get more with Geico.
Warriors down by 7. Podziemski quickly front court to Horford. 17 to shoot. Back over to Podziemski. Takes a dribble to Horford. Got to get a shot up here at some point. Santos with 15 seconds left goes up. Blocked away. Ball game's over. Gilgeous-Alexander in the backcourt will dribble it up and run this clock out. Great effort by the Warriors tonight, but they lose to the defending champions. Final score will be 104-97. And the Warriors look to get a winning road trip Monday night in Salt Lake City.
Warriors fall to the Thunder in OKC, but man, they put up a good fight. Welcome into Warriors Wrap-Up here on 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy with you. Final score in OKC. The Thunder, the defending champ Thunder, led by the defending MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 104, and the Warriors 97. This game was tied in the third quarter. Warriors trailed by just 2 with 2 minutes left in regulation, yet their offense left them in the fourth quarter. Just not enough on the offensive end, and and they ultimately lose this one 104-97. Shea, the MVP, who knows, maybe he's going to win a second MVP here when this regular season ends. Closed the game with a sidestep 3 over Draymond Green, then got to the free throw line, and that was that. Final score once again 104-97. But I don't know how you guys feel, and I want to hear from you at 888-957-9570. If you're a Warrior fan, call in or text in. That's both the number to call and the Boxer and Gerstein Work Injury Attorneys text line. Again, 888-957-9570. You can also join the conversation on YouTube, youtube.com/957 the game. The comments are already flowing on the YouTube chat. Appreciate all those coming in. I have a hard time leaving this game feeling any other way other than encouraged. And I know that this is not a franchise that does moral victories. And I know now after tonight, there's only 19 games left for the Warriors. And every game is really meaningful. By the way, the Clippers won today. You lost. So you lost a game in the race for the 8 seed. The Clippers now only 1 game behind you. And they currently have the tiebreaker over you, by the way. So it's not all good. Like you might fall out of the 8 and down to the 9, which is not a good thing. That would mean you have to win 2 games in the play-in just to make the postseason and earn a series, likely against these same Thunder team that you just played and lost to, and you're now 0-4 against them so far this season. But I don't know. I have a hard time leaving this game feeling anything other than encouraged by what I saw from the Warriors today. I know OKC's down a lot of their good players, right? They were down Hartenstein, down Jalen Williams, down Chet, down Caruso, down AJ Mitchell, excuse me. The Warriors also, though, down Steph Curry, down Jimmy Butler, down DeAnthony Melton, down Will Richard. You did get GP2 back. You got Kristaps back, and I was encouraged by the way Kristaps played. The only question with Kristaps, for me, is not the fit. For me, it's not who he is as a player. Was he rusty today? Yes, he absolutely was. 3 for 10 from the field, 0 for 3 from downtown. It's only his second basketball game played in 59 days. Now, we can be worried about that fact, the fact that he's only played 2 games in about 2 months. That is a big deal, but that for me is the only concern for Kristaps. Now, it is a relatively big concern. I get that, but the question has never been, does he fit on this roster? Because he absolutely does. And even despite Kristaps scoring just 9 points and going 3 for 10 from the field, 0 for 3 from downtown, and 3 for 6 from the free throw line, he was a +6 in a game in which you lost by 7. And I know plus minus over a single game, there are major flaws with that. But generally speaking, when Kristaps was on the floor, the Warriors were playing pretty darn good basketball. And it's only going to get better the more that he plays, because he's going to knock that rust off, and he's not going to miss 3 of his 6 free throws. And he's going to make probably at least 1 of those 3s that he took. And he's going to make a couple more of those, post-up little 10-foot fadeaways that he missed. And yet he's still going to draw double teams, and he's going to be kicking out to shooters. There were multiple times. He had 5 rebounds and 5 assists in this game. And a number of those assists just came on real simple basketball. And this is exactly what the Warriors need when they're without Steph. They need just an easy way to create quality shots, because far too long, and this has really been the case for the Warriors for a really, really long time, maybe other than the Kevin Durant years, but I'm going all the way back to when they were great, when they went 73-9 before Kevin Durant. The difference between Steph being on the floor and Steph being off the floor has always been really, really dramatic, because Steph is a cheat code who makes everything easy for everybody else, and they can create a lot of quality looks for others just because of the gravity of Steph and the attention that he draws from opposing defenses. You take him out, and what has always been the issue for the Warriors is offense is hard to come by. That's only heightened now when you don't have, a prime Klay Thompson. You don't have a prime Draymond Green, although I thought Draymond was really good tonight, and we're going to talk about that. But when you're without Steph, and specifically for this team, of course, also without Porzingis, and tonight without DeAnthony Melton, you just need an easy way to create good looks. And for the Warriors, it was really easy. It was throw the ball into the post to Kristaps, let the Thunder double team him, and then Kristaps pass the ball out to a shooter for a 3. And that happened multiple times. I venture to guess 3 of his 5 assists came on plays just like that, and 2 of them happened in pretty rapid succession in the third quarter. He drew a double team in the post, kicked it out to Podziemski for a 3 early in the third. Later in the third, he was double teamed in the post. They threw the pass into the post. He was double teamed, and he kicked it to Malachi Lyons of all players, and he hit a 3 to tie the game at 77 with 4 to go in the third quarter. Like, that is just something the Warriors have never really had. Kevin Durant, I should say never. I should not say never, because Kevin Durant did that. He threw the ball into the post to KD. Opposing teams are doubling him. They're sending multiple bodies his way. They're still doing that when he's 37 years old on the Rockets right now. They were definitely doing that a decade ago. Not quite a decade, but 9-8 years ago when he was with the Warriors. They are doing that still now. The Warriors haven't had something like that since Kevin Durant. And Durant is the unicorn of all unicorns. I was talking about that earlier today. It's really unfair to draw any kind of comparison to KD because he's KD. Maybe when it's all said and done, the best individual bucket getter in the history of the NBA. Most difficult to defend and stop and all that. Just one-on-one, defend this jumper. How are you going to do it? You can't stop KD in that sense. But Kristaps gives them a type of offense that they don't have elsewhere. Just Kristaps being out there was a positive influence. And the more that he plays, the more that he's actually going to make some shots, and the positive influence is going to increase over and over and over again. Now, again, the question is, how often is he going to play? And Steve Kerr did say post-game, I believe we're going to hear from him coming up in a little bit, he did say post-game that the plan is for Kristaps to rest on Monday in Utah, but then play at home versus the Bulls on Tuesday. So that is the plan. He played more than I think Steve Kerr was probably expecting him to play. Steve Kerr said pregame about 15 to 20 minutes for Kristaps. Tonight he played 23 minutes, and he scored 9 points, 3 of 10 from the field, 0 of 3 from downtown, 5 boards, 5 assists. I thought he was really, really good. And again, I'm not even thinking about making or missing the shots. I'm just talking about the process. And the process looked really good. And you could feel the positive impact on the rest of the Warriors. So it's not just as simple as, Draymond made 4 threes. And Guy Santos had a career-high 22. Guy was awesome, by the way, just awesome. Played 37 minutes, 22 points, 11 rebounds. What he's doing off the dribble is just blowing my mind. You got good performances elsewhere. And I think for a number of them, you feel like some of those are repeatable. You're not going to ask for 22 and 11 from Guy Santos every night. You're not going to ask Draymond to make 4 threes every night. But I think a lot of what happened tonight is something that you feel like you can build on as long as Kristaps is there and is healthy and is playing consistently. Not every single game. That's not going to happen. He's not going to play on Monday. He's not going to play on the back-to-backs. He's not going to play Monday. He's going to play Tuesday. That's what Steve Kerr said post-game, or the Warriors said post-game. It's much like Al Horford. He's not playing back-to-backs, and still Melton not playing back-to-backs. Melton also missed the game tonight. But the Warriors lost, and the Clippers won. So in the standings, this is a bad night for the Warriors, but I don't know. I feel encouraged. I do feel encouraged. And I see a comment that just came in on the YouTube chat, youtube.com/957thegame. Tammy McDaniel writes, I'm excited about this Warriors team. Let's go Warriors. KP was gassed, but it's okay. Just keep playing. He was definitely gassed. There was a moment, I believe it was late in the third quarter. Let me see if I can find it. Where was this? No, it might have been in the second quarter. Yes. So this is actually a pretty funny moment where you could just absolutely see his that he's not quite in basketball shape. As I mentioned, this was his second game played in 59 days. Second game played in 59 days. That is quite the statistic, quite the little factoid. He's played 2 basketball games in about 2 months. And they've been relatively spread out. Has not played a game in the last, few weeks, as he missed the last 6 games for the Warriors. So it would make sense that he's, by the end of his shift, right, the end of a stint of minutes, he's pretty gassed. And this happened in the second quarter. He checked in to start the second quarter, and then he checked out with about 8 minutes left. So he basically played the first 4 minutes of the second quarter. And at the end of that 4-minute stretch, he was gassed. There's a moment where he's fighting for an offensive rebound multiple times, tips the ball to himself a couple of times, keeps tipping, ultimately can't get it. So it's a defensive rebound for the Thunder, and they go the other way, and it leads to a Kenrich Williams 3 on the other end because Porzingis is so gassed he can hardly even get up the floor at that point. So him being unable to get back on defense leads to a 5-on-4 for OKC. They move the ball well, and they get the Kenrich Williams 3. Steve Kerr calls timeout, got to sub Porzingis out. Like that's going to happen. And that's not a knock on KP. Like, where's your hustle? That's just he's played 2 games in 59 days. He's got to get back into basketball shape. And there's certain, like, ailments, whether, reasons for being out as long as he has been out, that would let you maybe stay in at least all right shape. But when you're Kristaps and you've been just sick to some degree for the last, like, almost 3 weeks, like, it's hard to stay at a shape and in condition where you can play an NBA basketball game for more than, like, 4 or 5 minutes of NBA, of actual on-court time. It's going to change if he can consistently be out there on the floor, of course, but we're going to have to live with that for the moment. And I know we're at a point in the season where we're getting towards the middle of March, and the Warriors now have 19 games left in the regular season, and the Clippers are breathing down their neck for the 8th seed in the Western Conference. Like, this is do or die time. But the unfortunate reality for the Warriors is this is also kind of like experimental time, and let's just cross our fingers and hope it goes well because we don't have a lot of other choice. But I'm telling you, tonight was encouraging. It absolutely was encouraging. If, and I know it's a big if, but if you get some sort of consistency just in terms of being available to play from Porzingis, and Steph comes back relatively soon, the Warriors are going to look a whole lot better than they have for big stretches, specifically of late. Tonight was really encouraging. And you might say, well, it's OKC, and they're down like 3 or 4 starters, and that is all 100% true. And maybe this was also OKC, despite their injuries, looking at this Warrior team and being like, who are these guys? We don't really need to go, 100 miles an hour from the jump to win this basketball game. And maybe there is some of that. I'm not even, like, half the time, I'm not even paying attention to the scoreboard. I'm just trying to watch individual possessions and see, all right, was that a good process? Was that a good decision? Is that a repeatable thing? Or is that just some random dude catching fire and making a bunch of threes? That's not something that I count on being able to happen over and over and over again. But you know what I do count on being able to happen? Is if you put Kristaps on the floor alongside Steph Curry and alongside a few other players, the way that Guy is playing, you put him alongside Guy and Draymond and Podziemski or Melton in for Podziemski or whatever it is, once those guys are back healthy, and you throw the ball into the post to Porzingis, you're tying up defenses in knots. Because what's the defense going to do at that point? What are they going to do? You throw it in to Porzingis in the post. You're going to help off of Steph? No. Are you going to help off of Melton? The Warriors would love you to help off of Melton. Are you going to help off of Guy, the way that Guy has been shooting the 3 right now and also putting the ball on the deck? Are you going to help off of Draymond? Probably, but I think Draymond has found a little something of late in terms of using the advantage to create passing lanes. He had 5 more assists tonight, had 4 turnovers. A couple of those came in the very, very early moments of this game. I think he was good the rest of the way in terms of taking care of the basketball. This was a step, I think, in the right direction, absolutely, for the Warriors. And again, you're at a point in the season where you want to win. You need to win. You want to keep the Clippers at bay, because if you are to lose the 8 seed to the Clippers, you then have to win 2 play-in games to go to the playoffs. So I'm not sitting here and telling you it's sunshine and rainbows and the Warriors are going to, go 16-3 in their final 19 games. No, of course not. I'm just saying there had been some Warrior wins of late. I'm thinking about maybe the Denver game. Not so much the Houston games. I think the Warriors just absolutely earned that one, and they beat Houston with a really, really smart game plan. The Denver game felt more like you just caught fire from downtown. GP2 is making 3 after 3 after 3, and you caught a team in Denver playing their 3rd game in 4 nights on the back end of a back-to-back. That win felt more circumstantial. These last 2 games for the Warriors, the Houston win, and then this performance tonight, despite the loss, feels like more process-based. It feels like more repeatable. And this is a team, again, that is still not even close to being anywhere near as healthy as you hope they're going to be in 2 weeks from now, for example. So, I don't know. It's a loss, And it's a bad day in the standings because the Clippers also won. You're now only a game up on them. But me, personally, and I want to hear from you guys on this, 888-957-9570. Again, 888-957-9570. How do you feel coming out of this game? Because for me, my overarching emotion is I feel encouraged. I feel really encouraged. And maybe part of that is it was a relatively low bar to clear because, man, things have been pretty dark for the Warriors over the last, 6 or 7 weeks. But I feel encouraged personally. All right, 888-957-9570. Let's go back out to the phone lines. Again, 888-957-9570. Shardul is in Fremont, and he's up first. What's up, Shardul? You're on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game.
Hey, Mark Randy, I'm a big fan of you. I tune into your show, 90.7 Game, every single night. As the Oklahoma City Thunder take down the Golden State Warriors 104-97. I mean, the Warriors had so many chances to win this game. I mean, they're a resilient group. I mean, that's what I like about all the guys. I know we don't got Steph Curry. I know Jimmy Butler's out. Seth Curry's out. But we have to fight harder. We have to come out and win all these games. And we can't just lay it out like an egg on the court. Like, that's not how it works. But it was great calling the Warriors Wrap-Up, and I hope you have a great rest of your night.
Thank you.
I think you're the GOAT. I think you kill it every single day. Keep doing what you do. You're the man. You know how to get it done.
That first part was live, Shardul. That second part was played by our guys in the back from a previous Shardul, a call into Warriors Wrap-Up. Always love hearing from you, Shardul. Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head, Shardul. This is a Warrior team that, despite everything that has been going on, I think maybe with a few exceptions, the one thing we can say about the Warriors, nearly every single game, specifically I'm talking about the injured Warriors post-Jimmy and really post-Steph. It's been, 13 games now without Steph, 13 consecutive games. I think they're now 5-8 in those 13, the last 13 games that Steph has missed and, of course, that Jimmy has missed. They play really dang hard. Really, really hard. And I got to give them credit for it. In today's NBA, where there are so many teams that the nicest way I can put it seem disinterested, and the worst way I can put it, they want to lose. And the reality is it's probably more like they want to lose and they're just disinterested. With so many teams feeling that way, so many individual players aren't maybe caring as much either and are maybe buying into something a little more individualized as opposed to a team goal. I'm honestly just very, very, proud that this Warrior team is fighting as hard as they can. And I know what some people will say. They'll say, well, they're paid millions of bucks to do it. It's their job. They got to go out and play hard. That's the baseline. And I get it. It's just not the way it works in the NBA. Like, look around at the rest of the league and tell me if you see a team out there consistently playing as hard as the Warriors. I also think who deserves a ton of credit, and the last couple of nights for the Warriors, Thursday night and now tonight, the last few nights, I guess, the last couple of games, hasn't been good for Podziemski haters, hasn't been good for those that feel like Draymond is a negative for the Warriors, that Draymond was awesome tonight. I thought he was very good in Houston as well. Also, for those people out there that feel like Steve Kerr is one of the worst coaches in the NBA, man, I just got to straight up ask you, what the hell are you watching? Like, I don't understand how you could possibly feel that way. Steve Kerr's trotting out there on the road versus the defending NBA champion OKC Thunder, the reigning MVP in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and he's got guys like Nate Williams, LJ Cryer, Malachi Leons, Pat Spencer playing meaningful minutes in second halves, in fourth quarters versus teams like this, and it's a 2-point game with 2 minutes left. Are you kidding me? You're going to sit here and tell me it's all because, and this is not to take away from Guy Santos, and Guy Santos is 22-11 today. Career game for Guy, maybe the best game of his career. But you're gonna sit here and tell me that one of the worst coaches in the NBA can pull that thing off? No, Steve Kerr is having a great stretch right now. Does not mean he hasn't been without fault earlier in the season. It does not mean that at all. And I know people are going to point to the Kuminga stuff, and he absolutely did not handle that as well as he could have. The Warriors as an organization did not either. Kuminga did not either. I don't want to relitigate all of that. I'm just telling you, the Denver win What happened the other night in Houston? What happened tonight? I think this is speaking and showing very glowingly of Steve Kerr as a head coach. My honest opinion. You might disagree, but that's how I feel. I feel the same way about the way Draymond has played. It feels like he and the Warriors have found something the last couple of games. Podziemski turned into a volume scorer today. His shot left him in the second half, just like it left every other Warrior, probably not named Guy Santos. But I thought Podziemski was pretty darn good once again tonight. And then the way that Porzingis fit in, I think it was pretty darn seamless for the Warriors as well. All right, 888-957-9570. Let's keep it going on the phone lines. Up next is Kevin in Burlingame who wants to weigh in. What's up, Kevin? You're on Warriors Wrap-Up with Mark Randy. What do you got?
Hey, Mark. Good evening. I think you've kind of said everything, but the one thing I want to say is that the quality of play the last 5 games has just been astronomical. I think they're just totally set in and striving, and like you said, down by 2 at the end. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. I think Steve Kerr's got the glitch going, and I think we're going to do great.
I appreciate that, Kevin, and I think, I can speak for myself. Talked to a couple of Warrior fans already, seen some of the chats come in on YouTube and the text line. I do think there's a number of Warrior fans that are feeling similarly. Now, you talked about the last 5 games. There are a couple of pretty big exceptions in there. That includes blowout losses to the Lakers and the Clippers. You lost by 28 at home to the Lakers. That was really, really bad. You had a double-digit lead at halftime to the Clippers, and you managed to lose that game by 13 points. So there are some exceptions. Now, I think the reality is when you're trotting out in a lineup that the Warriors have been trotting out, those nights are going to happen. But the Denver win, the blowout win in Memphis, and the last 2 games they just played in Houston and in OKC, yeah, I absolutely feel that way, Kevin. I absolutely do. And now I don't know about they're going to play great and they're going to make noise. I know that's not exactly what you said, Kevin, but I'm just saying I feel encouraged that we have not seen anywhere near the best of this specific group. And when I say this group, I mean post-trade deadline group. And that's relatively obvious, right? Because Porzingis has just played in 2 games and Steph's been out for over a month now. So I'm not like breaking any ground. I'm not making some crazy discovery, and that's not a take that's going to get me plastered on, hot takes or old takes exposed or whatever it is on Twitter. Like that's not what that is. It's a relatively straightforward thought. But tonight, I think confirmed that for me, that this is a Warrior team that has a lot of better basketball ahead of them, assuming that Porzingis can get healthy and stay healthy, and the same for Steph. Now, those are 2 big ifs, right? But I do think the pieces are there for this to be a pretty darn functional basketball team down the stretch. Functional to the point where tonight without Steph, you were down by 2 on the road versus the defending champs. And I know they got a lot of injuries, but they've had that all year, and they are now still 50-15 on the season. This is a great, great, great team, despite all their injuries, and the Warriors are right there in this thing. So I'm encouraged. I absolutely am encouraged. Let's sneak in one more phone call before we hit a quick break. 888-957-9570. Will is up next. What's up, Will in Berkeley? You're on Warriors Wrap-Up. What do you got?
What's up, my brother? Happy Saturday.
You too.
There's a phrase that I connect with a lot because when I was working for a job for over 10 years, they say familiarity breeds contempt. And so I think a lot of these fans, after a certain amount of years, they're just like, how come Kerr's not winning every single year? And how come, you don't step back a little and see what's happening with the league. The league has now caught up to the Warriors. So when you look at all the complaints, we don't have enough length. Hello, we got Porzingis. Hello, we got, my man, both guys from the Celtics. Kerr doesn't know how to work with young players. Hello, you see these 2-way players we're working with today? I mean, it's all coming together. And the point is, he's doing it without Steph. He's doing it without the bulk of the lineup. And so, come on, guys, step back a little, really reflect on what you're talking about, because it's really about the amount of time it takes to build a team that hasn't played together. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate the call, Will. Yeah, like I get where you're coming from as well. I take a step back, and the expectations are crazy. I do think I'm not one that says, obviously, Steve has earned a ton of leeway and trust given what he's done as the head coach of the Warriors, just like an individual player has done that as well if they've been great for a long time. But I'm not really making a decision on the future of my organization because of what somebody did for me in the past. There are exceptions to that rule, but if I'm just grading somebody or evaluating somebody but based on what they're doing right now, I mean, I feel like right now, of late, Steve's done a pretty darn good job. This team has stayed afloat despite being down Steph and Jimmy, and until just now, Kristaps, and at times Draymond. Draymond hasn't been playing great, and Melton's in and out, and now you're without Moody, who's been one of your more consistent starters. Steve Kerr said the other day that this is the most beat up team he's ever been a part of. And they won in Houston that night. And they went toe-to-toe versus the defending champs in OKC tonight. Like, that's not an easy thing to do. It doesn't just happen because you want it to. It happens because you have a darn good game plan and the players execute it well. And it happened tonight. You out-rebounded OKC tonight. You had 15 offensive boards and you scored 16 second-chance points to their 7 second-chance points. Like, this was just a good performance all the way around for the Warriors. Okay, you know what? We're going to take a break. When we come back, we got a lot to get to because Steve Kerr has spoken post-game. So has Kristaps Porzingis. You're going to want to hear what Kristaps had to say post-game. That is coming up. It's Warriors wrap-up by 95-7 the game. Dubs fall 104-97 to the defending champ Thunder. But I don't know. I feel encouraged. What about you? 888-957-9570. Warriors wrap-up continues next on 95-7 the game.
So we're pretty much covered wherever we go.
All those stores?
Yep. So not only are we getting a great deal on groceries, now we can earn cash back as well.
Okay, downloading Upside. Now let me copy your grocery list.
Great news! Lucky and FoodMax are now on Upside. Download the Upside app and use the promo code SAVE9 to earn a 10% cashback bonus on your first grocery purchase. That's promo code SAVE9 for a 10% cashback bonus. Use promo code SAVE9.
Offers vary by user and location at participating merchants. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
What if you had the smartest Wi-Fi? If you did, it'd be Xfinity, of course. And it'd come with their best state-of-the-art equipment. It would boost speeds to the devices that needed them most, prioritizing your most important connections, whether you were streaming, gaming or gaming while pretending to work. And it would let you stream 4. That's right, 4 games on one screen. It would even power your mobile connection so you could bring faster, secure Wi-Fi speeds with you where you use it most. It would be proactive and fix problems before you knew you had them. Impressive, right? And it would have security features that protect you from threats at home and online. Kinda like a force field for your life. If you had the smartest Wi-Fi, well, everything would work together seamlessly to keep you connected, no matter what. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply.
Bay FC fans, the wait is finally over. The 2026 season kicks off Saturday, March 14th at PayPal Park at 3:30 p.m. against NWSL newcomers, Denver Summit FC. A new era begins with head coach Emma Coates leading the charge and electric new signings ready to make their mark. Plus, new supporter groups are bringing even more energy and atmosphere to match day. Be there, be loud, bring the hype. Flexible ticket options are available now at bayfc.com. Don't miss out.
And now an ode to play, brought to you by Scratchers and the California Lottery Philharmonic.
Take a time out from your busy day for a quick moment of play. Get some scratches, then get scratching. You deserve it, won't you say? Scratch, 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 scratchy, 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 scratch, scratch. Feel the play and up your game. Scratchers from the California Lottery. A little play can make your day.
Please play responsibly. Must be 18 years or older to purchase, play, or claim.
Straight Talk Wireless presents Pickup Truck Wisdom.
The smartest way to spend your money is not to. Straight Talk offers free 5G phones for new and existing customers on Verizon's 5G network. So the refund money I don't spend on that free phone is the refund money I get to keep for my family. Smart.
Find us at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Straight Talk Wireless. Straightforward. Always. Taxes and fees apply. Plan purchase required for free phone offers. Copyright 2026 Verizon.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
So I own a coffee shop, and I wanted to label everything with our logo.
That's ambitious.
Cups, boxes, bags.
Ooh, that'll add up.
Not at all. Because right now, Staples prints custom labels for 30% off.
30% off? That's shockingly affordable branding.
Yep. Now our logo and URL are seen all over town.
Brand your business for less at Staples.
That was easy.
Shop Staples in-store, online, or in the app by 4/4 to unlock. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ-FM and HD1 San Francisco on Odyssey Sports Station and the home of the Golden State Warriors and Valkyries. Always live on the free Odyssey app and now coming to you live from the Laughing Monk Studios.
Turns and faces. Palm fake, no. Turns, puts the ball on the deck, spins back left off the glass. Tough shot, banked it up and in. That was difficult. Kenrich Williams was right with him and didn't give him any room, any airspace at all. Pajemski, right baseline, doubled. Out to Horford. Horford skipped it over to Santos. Shot clock at 5. Corner Draymond inside. Porzingis goes in and dunked it. Just slammed it down with 2 hands. It's a 4-point game with 3:55 to go.
It's go time from 95.7 The Game out of the University of Oregon. Make some noise for Mark Grandy.
Now back to Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game.
One hell of a rejoin there by my guy Cam Williams behind the glass. If you missed Warriors this morning, that was Franco Finn, who came on as a surprise mystery guest. I eventually guessed that it was him, and when I did that, he introed me like I was a starter for the Golden State Warriors, which was a lot of fun and really cool. I'm sure you will hear that Franco Finn drop on Warriors Wrap Up going forward relatively often. But also there was those Kristaps Porzingis highlights, 2 of his buckets made in this game. He scored 9 points overall. He was a volume scorer in this one, but I think you could pretty easily see the impact that he can have on this Warrior team. And I want to read a text from the Boxer and Gersten Work Injury Attorneys text line at 888-957-9570. This is from the 510. I was talking earlier about how easy it is to see his impact. And the 510 writes, totally agree. Porzingis changes the dynamic on both sides of the court. You could see OKC struggling to figure him out. He just needs more time on the court to get his legs under him. Yeah, I absolutely agree. You could feel the impact. The the negative press that came about after the Kuminga for Porzingis and Buddy Hield, Kuminga and Buddy Hield for Porzingis trade has very little to do with who Porzingis is as a basketball player when he's on the floor. Because it always been a perfect fit for the Warriors. It's why Porzingis had been mentioned as someone that the Warriors maybe would target in past deadlines or past off seasons, because his skill set, one, is a skill set that every NBA team would love to have. A 7-footer that can shoot the basketball from anywhere on the court, can defend the rim a bit, and can grab rebounds, and is, maybe not an incredibly gifted passer, but understands the game and sees the floor well and just has general good game sense. That is an incredibly valuable player to have. The issue was the way the Kuminga tenure ended was ugly, very ugly, and that's putting it pretty lightly. And then he went out there to Utah, or to Atlanta, and played in 3 games while Porzingis was dealing with a mysterious illness and was playing great in those 3 games. It's worth noting that he hasn't played since. He's missed the last 2 games with knee inflammation. That doesn't make it any better for the Warriors. I'm not saying that. Just the optics of it all was really, really bad there for the Warriors for a sec. And it was because of what was happening to Kuminga in Atlanta playing great, and then that Porzingis wasn't even on the court. But it was because of his availability, not because of the player they acquired. If he becomes available consistently, we will look back on the last month of everyone in Warrior world ripping their hair out with maybe a little bit of a different perspective. That's what I'll say. 888-957-9570 to join in if you want to weigh in. I do want to hear from Steve Kerr, and then once we're done with Steve Kerr, I have to play for you what Porzingis said postgame, because I think if you're a Warrior fan and you want more Porzingis, you want to see him play more, which I don't know how you couldn't want that. One, because he looked pretty darn good despite being pretty darn rusty and not quite in basketball shape yet. Despite all of that, he had a positive impact on this game. You're going to want to hear what he had to say, because he did say he thinks he's going to be healthy going forward. So, and he addressed the POTS stuff, the illness that he might suffer from, although the illness that Steve Kerr said he does not suffer from, he addressed that. So we'll get to all of that, but first I want you to hear what Steve Kerr had to say about everything, and then we'll get to Kristaps after that. Here is Warriors head coach Steve Kerr reacting to tonight's loss versus the Thunder, 104-97 to the reigning NBA champions, despite a pretty good effort by the Warriors. Here is Steve Kerr postgame tonight.
I'm sorry? I thought he looked like a guy who hadn't played in a little bit, rhythm-wise, but I thought he looked great physically. Really encouraging night, for him to play 23 minutes. And, I talked to him after the game. He said he felt good. And so it was really, really fun to see him. You can see what kind of weapon he is and the size he gives us. And obviously, we're just figuring out combinations and, actions we want to run with him, for him. So it'll take a little time, but really encouraging to see him out there. And I was just so impressed with our guys' fight. We were right there. I know both teams were banged up, but, to come in here and give ourselves a chance, that's the common thread right now. It feels like we are giving ourselves a chance every night, despite all the injuries, and the guys are really competing well together. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. But he's really good spacing the floor too, just on the weak side. We don't have to play through him. We can, but we can also just, play pick and roll on the other side of the floor, and he keeps his man occupied, and the spacing that he provides really gives us a lot of opportunities.
Just be able to throw the ball down to him, and I think he drew 3 or 4 fouls in that first half in pretty limited minutes. Yeah, to be able to throw it to him and Al, it's a good way to gain an advantage. That's all you're trying to do offensively is find a way to gain an advantage, make the defense rotate, and both guys are able to do that, and they're going to get us a lot of open looks.
You had both of them Draymond and Iggy on the floor at one point late. How interesting, maybe fun is it for you to like try these bigger lineups?
Yeah, I mean, I doubt that we'll see that one a whole lot. Tonight it was just a matter of let's just put our best players on the floor down the stretch. LJ was on a minutes restriction, couldn't play him anymore. It just felt like, why not just put our best players on the floor and sort it out. Thought we got some decent looks. Had a couple threes, open threes to cut it to one in the last few minutes, and we just needed to make a couple shots and put some pressure on them to make them, feel the strain of, being behind or being tied, and we just couldn't quite get there.
What's the domino effect defensively when Draymond is guarding primary scorers like he has the last few games?
Well, first of all, I think it excites him when we give him a task of you guard the best player. I think he loves it. He's so up for the challenge. He's still one of the great defensive players in the game. And, the last few games, you think about it between, Shea and Kevin, and the game before that, Kawhi. I mean, he's guarded three of the hardest guys on earth and done a phenomenal job. And I thought overall we did a good job on Shea as a team, but the 15 free throws ultimately hurt us. That was kind of the difference in the game. You look at the stat sheet and did a great job on the offensive glass. We took care of the ball. Our process was great. The only thing defensively was, they made 23 free throws to our 11, and that was the difference.
Just for Draymond guarding primary scorers, is that a role you see him in moving forward, especially having Al and Kristaps now anchoring help?
For sure. Give Draymond the toughest task and have a big guy behind him. It's a good formula.
On the free throw disparity, a few coaches have been vocal about playing OKC this year. What is the game plan against them in terms of trying to limit your fouls, and what can be frustrating about playing them?
Well, he's incredibly clever, and he knows exactly how to draw contact, and it's all within the rules. And I don't have a problem with Shea. I have a problem with the rules. So, I just think that we, as a league, too much off arm. We hardly allow the defense to do anything, guarding the ball. So if you allow the offensive player to push off with the off arm to create space, it makes it really tough defensively because you can't put your arm in. If you put your arm in, everybody around the league will do what Shea does, what James Harden does. Like they'll hook your arm and they'll do that, and it's all part of the rules. So more power to all the individual players. But as a league, we need to adapt and adjust. The players are just year after year they just take advantage of the rules, and they're smart and they know what they're doing.
He's going to play Monday, or is there benchmarks or things you're going to check for in the next 24, 48 hours?
He will not play Monday. He'll play. The plan is to play him Tuesday. Yeah.
We didn't get into it as much before the game, but what did you guys see in the last few days that led you to feel like it would come
I just listened to the training staff. So he's had a couple workouts, and training staff said he's feeling better, and so he was ready to go. Thanks, guys.
All right, that's Steve Kerr postgame tonight in OKC after the Warriors fell to the Thunder 104-97. A lot of good stuff there from Steve. What he said about Draymond is really interesting. I want to get into that. What he talked about is in terms of SGA and the free throws, I also think is really interesting, and I'm seeing some of that on both our text line, the Boxer and Gerson Work Injury Attorneys text line, 888-957-9570. Also seeing it on the YouTube chat, youtube.com/957 the game. We can get to that, but I think the most pressing stuff is how Porzingis played today. Again, he was not incredibly efficient. He got up 10 shots, was 3 for 10 from the field, scored 9 points, but 5 rebounds and 5 assists in a game in which the Warriors lost by 7. He was a +6. So the Warriors were 6 points better than OKC while Porzingis was on the floor, and 13 points worse while he was off the floor, and he played just 23 minutes. That feels like a pretty positive development for the Warriors, despite the fact that this was Porzingis that was clearly winded at the end of every one of his stints and struggled shooting the basketball. Just 3 for 10, 0 for 3 from downtown, and 3 for 6 from the field. And he addressed the media for the first time since his absence, because he played 2.5 weeks ago on February 19th. His debut as a Warrior was February 19th versus the Boston Celtics at home. Kind of had a similar game as this where he struggled to shoot at least early, but you could feel his impact. He made a couple of threes in that game, so his shot maybe was a little bit better then. But he since then had missed the last 6 games for the Warriors, and there was drama of why. It was called just a regular old illness. Steve Kerr said unrelated to the things that have cost him games in the past. Then Steve Kerr said that it was not POTS, and POTS is the syndrome that he was diagnosed with while he was in Boston, that he openly admitted to being diagnosed with. Steve Kerr said it was not POTS, but it was something else. Mysterious is the word he used. Then the next day, Steve Kerr came out and apologized for talking about it at all and said that he has no ability to explain what Porzingis is going through, so he should leave those comments to the professionals, which is a fair thing to say. Whether or not he's dealing with POTS or not, that's probably what he should have said from a team PR perspective. But the absence continued until tonight, when Porzingis officially returned and played again for the Warriors for just the second time. So, with Porzingis available post-game for the first time since all this drama went down, you knew he was going to get asked about it. One of the first questions he was asked was about Steve Kerr openly telling, it was on this very station, by the way, last Friday, so 8 days ago now, where Steve Kerr said Porzingis is not suffering from POTS, but it's something else. So, Kristaps, what do you make of all of that? What do you make of Steve Kerr saying you're not dealing with POTS? Here's Porzingis.
Yeah, it wasn't ideal because, you put something out again so people can start talking about this. But again, I kind of, I told Steve, it's okay. I know he didn't mean anything. He didn't want to create some hype around my health, he just said whatever he knew at the moment. And yeah, it's okay. Honestly, yeah. I mean, most important is that I'm feeling good, and it's giving me peace of mind also now, and go forward and look better with each game.
Okay, so no big deal, at least is what Porzingis says, that Steve Kerr said that. No confirmation from Kristaps if it is or if it isn't, and that might not have been exactly what he was asked, which is also fair. But he was asked just about how he feels, and here's Porzingis talking about his body and his health.
I felt like my body's coming back to where I need to be. He's got, honestly, just one workout in and felt pretty decent. So I just want to, get out, especially getting traded somewhere else. I wanted to get out there as soon as possible. And honestly, so sitting out a couple games was thinking me a little bit, but today was okay. I just feel a little heavy and shots a little bit not in a good rhythm yet and missing some free throws.
Okay, and there's Porzingis talking about how his body is coming back and how he's feeling better. Another one from Kristaps Porzingis asked about his health going forward and how he feels, and if he feels like he's maybe at the tail end of this kind of absence related to whatever the illness is. Here's Porzingis on that.
And I believe I will be healthy now. Honestly, this is what I really feel. And not to sell anything, because obviously I've been in and out again. But this time I really feel that this is it. And yeah, finally getting out there healthy. I was playing through this. I think now this will be obviously it's only 20 games left or so, but in the regular season. So, but I want to catch a really good rhythm and then see if we can do something in the postseason. So I'm excited for the opportunity. Excited to play with these guys.
Okay, that feels like one of the more encouraging pieces of sound we've heard from anybody on the Warriors in quite a long time. He said, quote, "I believe I will be healthy now. This is how I really feel." Okay, I mean, it's one thing to say it. It's another thing to actually see it happen. But if Kristaps is accurate in how his body feels and he does stay healthy, then the final 19 games of this regular season take on, in my opinion, an entirely different feeling. And the other assumption is that at least for a decent chunk of those final 19 games of the regular season, you have Steph Curry back as well. Now, he's not playing, of course, didn't play today, not going to play Monday, not going to play Tuesday, might return as soon as Thursday, I believe, is the Warriors' next game that he could return in. No, Friday. They're off Wednesday and Thursday. So he's not going to play Monday in Utah, not going to play Tuesday versus Chicago at home, but could return as early as next Friday, 6 days from now. So we will see. We don't know that. He's going to get reevaluated, and the Warriors will release an update on Wednesday the 11th. That will tell us his status for Friday the 13th and potentially beyond. We'll see there. But if Kristaps is right in that this is how he really feels and how he expects to continue to feel, and you get Steph back sooner rather than later, then this is a team that I think should have everything in front of them in terms of holding on to the 8th seed in the Western Conference, because that's how good of a fit Steph is with Kristaps and Kristaps is with Steph. One more from Kristaps, by the way, postgame. I talked about earlier, he was asked specifically about what Steve Kerr said about his medical condition on this station, and then how we followed it up pregame last Saturday, a week ago. And he said, not a big deal. And I was wondering if he was asked if it is Potts specifically. He was not asked that in that question, but he was later. Kristaps, is it Potts that you're dealing with?
Yes. I mean, somewhat, yes. So, but yes and no, that's why I'm so confident now that I'll feel good, honestly. So, because this summer I was already fine. So I don't want to go too much into it, but I'm happy that I'm feeling good now. And I really believe, really believe that from this point on, I will be healthy in terms of that, the energy and that. So that's good.
Okay. So there it is from Kristaps Porzingis. And I think what probably happened here, and Potts is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. Not really important to know exactly what it does, but essentially your heart rate can increase at times when it should not, and it can leave you very, very sapped of all kind of energy, and it makes it impossible to be a professional athlete when it's affecting you like that. And I would imagine what happened, because, again, let's listen to that one more time. Here's Porzingis asked if it is Potts that he's dealing with. Here's one more time, Porzingis.
Yes. I mean, somewhat, yes. So, but yes and no, that's why I'm so confident now that I'll feel good, honestly. So, because this summer I was already fine. So I don't want to go too much into it, but I'm happy that I'm feeling good now. And I really believe, really believe that from this point on, I will be healthy in terms of that, the energy and that. So that's good.
Okay, so he says somewhat yes. It is Potts, somewhat. My guess, and this is an outsider's perspective, I don't have any personal connection to Kristaps, and certainly not any doctor that has, tested him and studied him and has tried to diagnose him. There's a lot of different symptoms or disorders or issues or things that you can suffer from that present symptoms similar to the symptoms that Potts present. And my guess is he got diagnosed with Potts by a doctor, and it happened while he was with the Boston Celtics, and he openly admitted to being diagnosed with it. But just simply because you get diagnosed with something does not mean 100% that is what you have. There are a number of different things that you could have that present symptoms similar to other things. And why there was confusion between what Porzingis openly admitted to being diagnosed with and what Steve Kerr said Atlanta diagnosed him with is probably because there's a number of different symptoms or syndromes or issues or things that you can suffer from that present similar symptoms. And that's probably where the confusion was. And it's also why Kristaps said somewhat yes, because maybe some of the things that he's feeling are related to Potts, but maybe some of the other things, maybe it's not a perfect fit is the point. But he clearly has been dealing with something more than just the cold or the flu or something like that. Clearly it's more than that. But as Steve Kerr did say on this very station 8 days ago, sometimes it's really difficult to diagnose correctly what somebody has. And that feels like what Kristaps has been going through. It's why he said somewhat yes. Again, quote, somewhat yes. Porzingis if it's Potts. So I think the whole thing was probably some big misunderstanding in terms of Steve Kerr saying it wasn't Potts and Porzingis admitting that it was Potts back in the day when he was with Boston. The bottom line is you hope that Kristaps, and you hope that he's right and that he has broken through here and that this is who he is going to be now and that he is healthy and that he feels his energy coming back and that he feels like he can play consistently going forward now. I hope that for him as a person, and then you also hope that for him as a basketball player, and you hope that for the Warriors as a basketball team as well. So interesting stuff there from Kristaps, there's no doubt. But again, he feels like this is who he is now, and he feels like, again, quote, I believe I will be healthy now. This is how I really feel, and that feels like as encouraging news as the Warriors have got in a really, really long time as it relates to anything on their basketball team, and this specifically relates to Kristaps Porzingis. I want to talk about Draymond Green because I think what the Warriors have done, and this is also related to Kristaps Porzingis, and again, this is Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy with you. If you want to weigh in, 888-957-9570. Not going to go too much longer here, so if you want to weigh in, do so now. Again, 888-957-9570. Steve Kerr was asked about Draymond guarding the opposing team's best player now, best scorer, best offensive weapon, and it's happened on 3 consecutive games. It's kind of crazy. Just think of the last 3 matchups Draymond has taken head on. Kawhi versus the Clippers. Did a great job on him in the first half. Kawhi got loose a little bit in the second half and specifically in the fourth, but largely I think Draymond did a pretty good job, specifically in that first half. Kevin Durant on Thursday in Houston. Draymond was awesome against KD. It wasn't just, Draymond and either of these guys, but he took the opening moments on him. He was the one-on-one matchup to begin these games versus these guys. And when he was on the floor, when they were both on the floor, he was their defender majority of the time. And then tonight, SGA. Draymond on SGA, the point guard for OKC and the defending NBA MVP. His last 3 matchups, Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, and SGA. I think there's a few reasons why this makes sense for the Warriors to do it. Number one, Draymond Green, despite what I think a lot of Warrior fans think, is still the best defender the Warriors have, in my opinion. And I don't think it's all that close still. I think Draymond Green is still the Warriors' best defender. And as Steve Kerr said, it, quote, excites him. This is something that I think Draymond has had to deal with at times in his career, and we've seen it specifically of late. There's also this running joke that whenever Steph is out, it's hard for Draymond to be motivated to play. There is some data that maybe backs that up. I do think it's probably we're being a little bit simplistic when we're generalizing, but there is some data to back that up. Draymond misses some games that Steph misses, and I don't know if it is a coincidence or not. But being matched up with an opposing team's best player, and that best player being a superstar like a Kawhi, like a KD, and like an SGA, those are the kinds of things that gets Draymond going. And at this stage, right, just celebrated a birthday at this stage of his career, this far into the league, he sometimes needs an extra push, right? And if he's going through the dog days and it's a random Thursday in Houston and his matchup is Tari Eason or Jabari Smith Jr. and not KD, it's probably easier for Draymond to maybe take a step back and not be quite as into the game as if he's matched up with KD. Or maybe tonight he's matched up with Cason Wallace instead of SGA. Are you going to get the same Draymond in that game as you would as you got tonight if you put him on SGA, right? So I think there's a couple of things going here. One, it makes sense because Draymond's still a really good defender. But 2, it gets him up for these games more than maybe it would otherwise. And it's been working. I thought he did, for the most part, he did a good job on Kawhi. I thought he did awesome on KD. And SGA finished with 27 points, but he was 6 for 15 from the field. That is kind of what SGA does. He did hit the dagger 3 over Draymond late in the game, but he was 6 of 15 from the field, 1 of 4 from downtown, got to the free throw line 15 times, though, and made 14 of them. Some of those were on Draymond. A lot of those were on others. GP2 also took turns defending SGA. Everybody the Warriors put on him did a good job of making it difficult for him to get good shots off. He got to the line, and that's, as Steve Kerr talked about, the one thing defensively the Warriors did poorly. But you look at OKC's numbers, they score 104 points. They shoot 42.3% from the field, 35, almost 36% from deep. They committed more turnovers than the Warriors. The Warriors out-rebounded them. The one thing they had going was they got to the line 24 times. They made 23. The Warriors made just 11. They're plus 12 from the stripe in a game in which they won by 7. That's the difference right there. And that's what SGA is so good at. But I thought Draymond did a really good job on SGA. And at times, when you get Draymond that locked in defensively, it kind of gets him going and flowing offensively as well. And he made 4 threes tonight. He scored 16 points, had 4 rebounds and 5 assists, 6 for 10 from the field, 4 of 6 from deep, and did a great job defensively on SGA. So, Steve Kerr was asked, is that going to be something going forward that you do? Draymond on the opposing team's best offensive player. And he's like, yeah, that's the plan. And I think it's the right plan. It also speaks like, okay, let me ask you guys this. 888-957-9570. Let me ask you this. How many players out there in the NBA could you say, just blanket statement, yeah, it doesn't matter who the opposing team's best offensive player is, we're putting this one guy on him no matter what? How many players out there can do that? Like, it might just be Draymond. I know people will say Wemby, and maybe because Wemby's just such a freak of nature, but Wemby sticking with a smaller, quicker guard is still not going to be easy. Now, he has the length to recover and maybe block a shot on a chase down if he gets beat, and he has the length to maybe sag off and still contest a 3. So I will hear you there, but the point is there's not many. And the other guys that we're mentioning that are capable of defending any team's best offensive player, whether it's a point guard, a wing, or a center, they're legitimately like the most unique players and defenders in the league. And Draymond is in that group. And I know that he has had, specifically of late, a down stretch offensively and also defensively at times lately. And I think it directly leads into this new role for him defensively, where no matter what, he's guarding the opposing team's best player, KD, Kawhi, SGA, 3 straight games. I think it's getting the best out of Draymond. And I think it's the smart thing for the Warriors to do going forward. And just the fact that the Warriors think it is a good idea, I think just speaks worlds about who this guy still is defensively. Because I still think he's great defensively. It hasn't been as consistent. The last 3 games, though, it has been. I did talk about, though, SGA's free throws. He got to the line 15 times, made 14 of them. Steve Kerr was asked about that specifically because he talked about free throwing being the only thing the Warriors did poorly defensively in this game. I mean, OKC in the second half scored 19 points in the third and 18 points in the fourth. They scored 37 points in the second half. 37 points in the second half. The Warriors were amazing defensively in this game. Amazing. And 11 of their 37 points in the second half came from the free throw line. They scored just 26 points from made field goals in the second half. 26 points from made field goals in the second half for OKC. That speaks to the Warriors' defense, and Draymond has always been the leader of that group. But as it relates to the free throwing discussion specifically, Danny Emmerman, Bay Area News Group, San Jose Mercury News, asked Steve Kerr about defending specifically SGA, but this OKC team, because they have been in the news, not them talking about it, but opposing teams and coaches talking about how frustrating it is to play against OKC, because there's been a lot of talk about how OKC gets a really good whistle, how they both defend aggressively and don't get a lot of fouls called on them, and how SGA and company are very, very good at drawing whistles and getting to the free throw line and winning games that way, which is what happened tonight. Whether it was fair or not, I'm not commenting on that. They just are good at it, and they got to the free throw line, and that's how they won the game tonight. And Steve Kerr essentially said, I've got no issue with SGA. He is great at taking advantage of the current way the game is refereed and officiated. Steve Kerr did say, I have a problem with the rules, though. And I think Steve Kerr is absolutely right, because, man, oh, man, you could just sense it coming. Warriors playing great basketball. They tie the game in the third quarter. They erase a 13-point deficit. SGA comes off the bench, and it's immediately a parade to the free throw line. And, man, it is just not the most fun basketball to watch. I'm talking purely from an entertainment standpoint. I don't know how the NBA could view this as a good practice to continue in terms of the entertainment level of their product. It slows the game down. It takes away from, I think basketball is a very beautiful game. I know soccer is called the beautiful game. Basketball, when it's being played right, is very, very beautiful. And the trip to the free throw line over and over and over just gets old really quick. SGA is great at it. Drawing fouls is a skill. And he is as good at as anybody has probably ever been at it. But it does feel a little bit cheap. And again, it's not me saying that OKC is cheating the system. They are taking advantage of the way the game is called. They're doing it better than anybody else in the league. But it is not the most exciting basketball to watch, in my opinion. So I think Steve Kerr's spot on there. And I wonder what the NBA does in the offseason or going forward to address something like that. Because not that there's this conspiracy that officials are out to support OKC more than anybody else. I just think OKC's best at taking advantage. And they did tonight, SGA specifically. I mean, they got to the line, again, 24 times. 15 of them were SGA. He scored 27 points. 14 of them were from the free throw line, more than half his points at the stripe. And that's the reigning MVP of the league. There's nothing new. But anyway, despite that end to this show, I think a lot to be positive about, a lot to be encouraged by if you are the Warriors. They lose ultimately. Final score in this one, 104-97. But man, Kristaps, second game as a Warrior, looked rusty, but you could feel his positive impact. He's saying post-game that I believe I will be healthy. Now this is how I really feel. The Warriors feel like they have found a little something, specifically right now without Steph Curry, which is good news as they're going to play at least two more games without Steph Curry. Things are it was really bad for the Warriors for about 6 or 7 weeks, and I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to win 15 of the remaining 19 games, but it does feel like the last couple of games something has turned and shifted for the Warriors just a little bit. And that might be enough. That might be the difference between them being the 8th seed and them being the 9th seed. We shall see. Speaking of that, let's take a look at the scores from around the league really quick before we get on out of here. Really the only one that matters to the Warriors is the Clippers game. They were in Memphis, and yeah, that is the only other game that matters to the Warriors tonight. The Clippers, they barely held on versus the Grizzlies. They were, in fact, down by 1 going into the fourth. The Clippers then win 123-120. They beat the Grizzlies. Grizzlies not doing the Warriors any favors, although they kept it competitive, just like the Grizzlies did versus the Warriors at home a few weeks ago. Clippers win that game 123-120. With the Warriors loss tonight, 104-97. That means the Clippers gained a game on the Warriors. Warriors now 32-31 for the 8 seed. Clippers 31-32 for the 9. The Clippers just one game back. And remember, the difference in being the 8 or the 9 is if you're the 8, you have 2 chances to win one play-in game. And if you win one of those play-in games, you go to the playoffs, either as the 7 or the 8, whichever play-in game you win. I don't want to go through all the different permutations, but if you're the 8, you have 2 chances to win one. If you're the 9, you have to win consecutive play-in games. You have to win 2 do-or-die games just to make the playoffs, and that would be as the 8 seed, which would mean you would likely get OKC, which is not going to be an easy thing to do. So it's a gigantic difference. And right now there's only one game separating those two teams. The Warriors at 8, 1 game ahead of the Clippers at 9, and the Clippers currently have the tiebreaker over the Warriors as well. There is one more head-to-head matchup late in the season between the Warriors and the Clippers. All right, Warriors next in action on Monday versus the Utah Jazz. That game is at 6 o'clock. You can hear it, of course, right here on 95.7 The Game. Pre-game coverage begins at 5. I'm sure a lot of Dubs talk coming up on Monday morning leading up to that game. Then they return home on Tuesday. The Chicago Bulls, 7 o'clock tip from Chase Center. That might be the last game Steph misses. We shall see. Don't know that for sure. That's the last game that he has currently been ruled out for. And then we expect an update from the Warriors on Steph coming up on Wednesday. And then the next game for the Warriors after that game on Tuesday is Friday at home versus the T-Wolves. All right. That's going to do it for Warriors wrap up tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Mark Randy, signing off. Shout out to all of you guys for tuning in and contributing to the show tonight. Also, thanks to both Cam Williams behind the glass and Zach Green as well for cutting up all that Kerr and Porzingis sound for us to hear. Again, I'm Mark Randy, signing off. Dubs fall, but I'm encouraged. I don't know about you. They lose tonight 104-97, but I think they have turned a corner here the last couple of games. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll talk next time on 95.7 The Game.
Providers speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you.